Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and Mark. Welcome to Sensus Fidelium Clown Planet Daily, kind of daily, Hump Day edition. Mike, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? It is Hump Day. Like I said, I would love to play the commercial. You know it. It's the best one ever of the camel on Hump Day. Fantastic. Anyways, 10 till 10, or 8 till 10 if we want to be completely precise. 10 till 10 on Wednesday, March the 4th, St. Casimir Day, Pope St. Lucian Day as well. Again, look them up. It's on the website, sensusfidelium.com. Butlers, Lives of Saints. Type it in on the YouTube channel. There's probably about 9 butlers for today on there. Schedule out and for about 8 years. YouTube only lets me schedule out for 3. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one in YouTube world that has things scheduled out for 3 years to this day. And I would schedule out 8 or 9 years, but they limited at 3. So anyways, I digress. Still got plenty of more to put up. Yes, I'm a workaholic. I get it. All right, let's get right to it. Let's start with the appetizers. Salad, get a little appetizer, maybe some onion rings, and then we'll get into the juicy stuff because just like the other day, the first 5 or 6 links have nothing to do with the war. The rest is wall-to-wall coverage. That's the only thing anybody's talking about. Oh, there's other things going on too. We're not just bombing one person, one group of people. We're bombing a few others right now. Chick-fil-A changes the fry recipe. As you know, you were wondering about that. I know Amy was definitely. Mark too, you guys, I know it. I heard you. I heard your please talk about Chick-fil-A. My pleasure. Okay. Chick-fil-A is changing their fries. They're taking out pea starch. The ingredient was added in 2024 to make them stay crispier longer. And we're done with this one right here. I know. Americans have forgotten how to cook, says RFKJ. RFKJ just announced that HHS has a new initiative to teach Americans how to cook again. Every American can feed themselves cheaper than fast. I thought George Foreman taught everyone how to cook. Don't you? The George Foreman grill. I know. I had one. We had. If you went to college, you had a George Foreman grill because that was the only way outside of eating cafeteria food that you could even cook something. But I think we need to change that interest. It's become death. Yeah, Death World is pretty apt. I'll let the Pooverse take care of Death World. They pretty much got the corners for that one. See, many of them don't have the cutlery. They don't have the pots and pans, and they don't have the cutting boards, and they don't know how to shop. Okay. One of the things that we're talking about is at HHS is to use the commission, core, or other groups within our agency that go out and actually teach people how to cook. Now, again, how in the wide world of sports does Maha think they're going to go? What they're going to go door to door? Say, have a bullhorn. Hear ye! Who doesn't know how to fry an egg? What? Who come ye, lend me your ears, lend me your tongs. What is how are you going to do about that? You have like a little meeting in the middle of the day, come to town square and say, we're going to have first off, I don't see anywhere in the Constitution for the HHS to even exist, 1. 2, where is the Constitution for them to say, hey, we're going to go out there and teach people how to cook? Yeah, I'm not a Darwin guy by any means of the imagination, but if you don't know how to cook, and you don't know how to feed yourself somehow, that there's that. Sometimes you go with the natural selection, but if you just kind of like the stupid people aren't going to be able to figure it out, all right, then I don't know what to tell you. Now, someone did bring up a good point down here. Is how about you just bring up home economics classes? Yep, I remember home ec back in was it my first high school? Went to 2, transferred in the middle of my junior year. Was it for first year? Junior high, maybe? It was. I just remember it was home ec. It was a fun course though. And home ec shop. No, shop was the fun one. You made those little race cars. They had the CO2 race cars in there, and you ended up punching them, and you're all racing. And you had the bandsaws too. There's no way in God's green earth they have shop class in this day and age, because somebody would have cut their finger off and they would have blamed they would own the school system after that. Because no one listens to anything. Like, hey, put Johnny, would you stop? What's Johnny doing over there? Oh, Johnny's licking the saw. Anyway, yes, DoorDash has replaced that. But yes, there's a lot of people, maybe they don't know how to cook. I don't know. Most people know how to do that. I would assume they at least know how to fry an egg or make scrambled eggs. But hey, RFKJ wants to take it to the streets. Good luck on the manpower. Jason Basler, keep your eyes on Florida's HB 945. This isn't public safety. It's the blueprint for a state-run intel agency that can track people for their opinions or actions, build patterns of life, and run domestic surveillance with almost zero oversight. If it passes, Florida becomes the beta test for political surveillance at the state level. And you know how pilot programs go. They never stay in one state. Here's the Guardian's post. Florida wants its own CIA. That could lead to unchecked domestic violence. A bill to create a state intelligence operation would allow scrutiny based on opinions and could prompt other states to follow. Again, I do not like what's going on. I love a lot of stuff that goes on in Florida. This is great googly moogly level. I mean, whoa. Hey, Ron DeSantimonious. Whiskey, what are you guys doing down there? Come on, dude. But yes, and even Mark says, I mean, people like to play team party politics, or Yankees versus Red Sox, red versus blue. That's the only thing redder than that would be, I don't know, Alabama, Mississippi, South Kakalaki. And those guys would follow Florida in that, guarantee. Now, if Fishback wins in Florida, I don't see that flying through, but he first time in the chat. Who's that? Sanctify me. Good. Hey, first time in the chat. What's happening with this guy? Genuine question. What's happening with this guy? Is it me, or what's happening with the RFKJ? Just clarify the question, because I'm the idiot that's running this thing. When I say idiot, I mean idiot. So yeah, be clear on what the question is. What's happening with this guy? I'm just reading the news and trying to make a little fun out of it, and try not to black pill too many people. Anyway, but yes, you're welcome to ask anything. You don't have to pay $25 to ask a question. Just ask away. Let's see. Here, speaking of Ron DeSantis, Ron DeSantis says he's about to sign legislation that would effectively block hyperscale AI data centers from coming into Florida. I don't know how you got this CIA thing that you're doing, but he's doing this because of Fishback, I bet, and that's to keep his boy Brian Daniels to win down in Florida. They come in, quote, and these big tech companies are building these massive data centers that take up much of the power as a city is 500,000 people. Well, guess what? Supply and demand. Do you think your electricity rates will go up when that happens? Yes, it does. So this would block that basically. No ratepayer should have to pay 1 red cent because of big tech, and we will be the first states to do it. Now, again, let me see if anybody else is covering this. HB 945. 945 Florida. See if anybody else besides Jason's doing it. Jason's always pretty good. This is what Jason does. 26. There's Florida lawmakers are pushing HB 945 to create a counterintelligence unit that could target citizens for their views or opinions they deem anti-Semitic. That's mainly the win. I mean, you remember the EO from DC was all about anti-Semitism too. So hey, there you go. Yes, and look at him. He's first time here, and he knows already. He's a veteran already. The fake left and the fake right. Let's see what else here. Who's really control? As if the kosher mob is developing a police state of Florida, HB 495, intelligence to spy, arrest for your views or opinions they deem anti-Semitic. So there's a photo of the bill. She says the term adversary intelligence entity. You know how many people? I think are we the only one group? Guys, you know, if you guys watch other people, I don't. I mean, has anybody else brought this up? Florida police state wants to spy on your views. Stu Peters, when Stu did on something, I worry about it because Stu is the one that came out with the venom in the water. Like, good grief, dude, you were really reaching. Let's see, Atomics, Free State of Florida. The Free State of Florida has just announced officially authorized the creation of a Zionist-led secret police force under HB 4945. This is a counterterrorism and scorched earth execution of the First Amendment. Okay, this has zero to do with the First Amendment because Florida can do whatever Florida wants to do. Now, it violates the Florida Constitution. I guarantee. I don't know what section it is, but if you pull up the Florida State Constitution, I guarantee this would be a violation of that. Mm-hmm. So not too many. I mean, there's some posts on it, but not too many people are really posting about it. I mean, because you look at the people that do. I mean, this guy. I mean, yeah, he's talking about it. I'll retweet him for him, but he had 25 people see the thing. that was yesterday. Even Stu, let me see, Catherine, 400 people. So they are throttling this story on here. And Stu gets 126,000. He gets how many people he's got following him? He's got almost 1 million, and only 126 people saw that. So that just shows that the algorithm is holding this one down big time. I mean, if you have 1 million people following you, Jason got 10K out of it. He got about 60,000. He got 10. But yeah, if a story like this, probably because it's a photo. But yeah, everyone else is getting nothing for looks. He's getting 5,000 out of 11. You see your stuff like that, you can tell when the algorithm is against you. Mm-hmm. Just looking at some of you guys on the chat. Last American vagabond, Ryan Christian says the U.S. government is the laughing stock of the world. Now ask yourself why they would allow that to become the reality. And much of this is indeed a choice, as opposed to incompetence, which is also clearly a factor. And who would stand to benefit from that? Because he's retweeting, Melania Trump is chairing a UN Security Council meeting. As Adam says, I'm not joking. The U.S. currently holds the presidency of the council, and that's who Trump chose as chair. Minnesota's looking a lot better than Florida right about now, huh? You guys can tell ICE to go kiss off. Florida won't be able to do that. Oh, man. Yeah, and by the way, wait till somebody else gets that and it's used against you. Oh, hey, just think about that. Just think if I'm living in Florida right now, as much as I put out Israel's a terrorist state or anything like that, knock on the door, be like, hello. No hablo español. Oops, no hablo inglés. Justin, Meta sold 7 million Ray-Ban smart glasses in 2025 alone. Workers in Kenya are watching the footage, not metadata, not anonymized clips, the actual videos. People undressing, people in bathrooms, people, you know what, bank cards, medical documents. The blurring is supposed to protect privacy. It fails constantly. The contractors see everything. Here is the part that should stop you cold. You did not buy the glasses. You did not agree to the terms of service. You did not consent to anything. But if someone wearing meta glasses walks into your bedroom, your bathroom, your doctor's office, your home, a contractor on the other side of the world may be watching you right now. The person wearing the glasses consented. Everyone else in the room did not. Meta's defense is that this is all disclosed in the privacy policy. They are technically correct. They are technically correct, buried in language so dense that 99% of users never read it. It's kind of like that South Park video movie episode they did about the iPhone, reading that, and they got it's a family show. I can't go into it. And even if they did, it would not matter because the terms govern the wearer's data, not yours. You are not the party to the contract. You are not the party to the contract. You are the product being annotated. Millions of AI-enabled cameras walking around in public, recording constantly, uploading to servers, reviewed by humans, earning a few dollars an hour to label your most intimate moments, so the algorithm gets smarter. This is not a bug. This is a business model. The EU is already asking questions. MEPs submitted formal inquiries to the Commission this week, demanding answers on GDPR compliance. The problem is obvious. European data protection law requires consent from data subjects. Bystanders are data subjects. Bystanders never consented. The entire architecture violates the regulation by design. Meta's response has been silence and a reference to terms of service that do not apply to the people actually being filmed. Google Glass died because people called the wearers glass holes and banned them from bars. Meta solved the social problem by making the glasses look normal. They did not solve the privacy problem. They hid it. 7 million units sold in 2025. The installed base is accelerating. Every unit is a potential surveillance node operated by someone who may not understand what they are feeding into the system and reviewed by contractors who see everything. The algorithm cannot perceive. I don't understand why anybody would buy one of these things. The question is not whether this becomes a scandal. The question is whether the scandal will rise before or after the glasses are on 50 million faces. You know, like imagine Flock. Now you got, and Ring just isn't doing what Flock is doing. Ring is still doing what Ring is doing. They're just not married the Flock now. And now they'll add Meta. Add these glasses. It's good. It'll be, there's a way to get around this stuff. You have to wear like infrared hats, shirts, glasses, things like that. Watch the EU. If Brussels moves on GDPR enforcement, Meta faces a choice: disable human review in Europe and cripple the AI training pipeline, or accept fines that could reach billions. Neither outcome is priced into the stock. The glasses are selling faster than hotcakes. The contradictions, the contractors keep watching, and somewhere right now, someone you have never met is looking at footage of you that you never knew existed. And there's the Area Gen 2 next generation glasses that we hope to enable researchers to blah, 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 bing, bing, bing. Yes, you are right. Got umbrellas too. But the thing is, the umbrellas can do that with the flat cameras. It ain't going to do much with the Meta unless you pointed at, if you pointed at the light or the glasses. Mark, buy one from, as long as it's not a severed head, I will be very happy. As long as that, I mean, Mossad specs, I got a little thing on that coming up, because remember those Mossad specs, you're right. That's stuff that they trained in Gaza during all this. Here's Eyewitness News, Channel 7, New York. Using headphones is no longer considered a proper etiquette. It's now a requirement on United Airlines flights. United said passengers who use speakers and refuse to wear headphones could be removed from flights and even face a lifetime ban. The airline says travelers who do not have headphones can request a free pair from flight attendants. So I wonder if is the headphones they corded. Well, I guess you can do anything anymore. I always get a kick when I haven't walked in an airport in a long time. Still, you see people, they're talking on their phone. You can't see that they even have earphones in. They got the buds in. They're like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I say, "Hey," back, and I go, "Oh yeah, they're on a cell phone." That's me. Let's see. The police went away. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll play it just because since we're doing this. Let's see. And we talked about the meta. Why not? I know it's here, and I know this show will go on for about 20 hours too. Anyway, so why not? Let's go ahead and play one video about. Where is it? Larry Ellison, Larry Ellison, Trump Gaza. Don't need that. Hold on for a sec. Just give me 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves. Find it. Hey, the Dow's under 50,000. Here's it. Israel Tech. There it is.
Most chilling thing I've seen responding to these immigration raids. I'm an immigrant rights attorney, and usually I'm a pretty optimistic guy. I don't get scared easily. I love watching horror movies. Over the past 6 months, I've seen some really disturbing stuff. At one location, people hid when I showed up, and I still found them using a thermal drone that detects body heat. Where was this technology first tested? By Israel in occupied Palestine. When people get taken by ICE, they often refuse to say their names. So ICE identifies them using a facial recognition technology. Where was this tech first used? By Israel in occupied Palestine. When people refuse to let ICE search their phones, ICE will plug their phones into this box and it unlocks their phone. Where was this tech first used? By Israel in occupied Palestine. The amount of dystopian tech that the US government has taken from Israel to use in its own country is terrifying. And this is why freeing Palestine and abolishing ICE goes hand in hand.
Yeah, that was a quick video. I forgot. It's kind of quicker because I forgot I've actually watched it so many times. Here we are. Here, the Holy Father. Or I forgot. Let me send this out real quick. Oh, did you hear about this? There's a newly established nonprofit launched the crowdfunding effort to construct a papal tiara that will contain Catholic and American symbolism from the plan offered to Leo XIV as a gift from American Catholics to the first pontiff from these United States. That's going to, or tiara, what is going to be on it? What can be on it? Put Jefferson or Washington on it. Anyway, here's the Vatican. The Holy See could support development of ethical AI. Vatican seminar suggests Holy See could support development of ethical AI, contrary to Terminator AI, which will just kill us all at one day or the other. But yeah, I mean, ethical AI is a good thing. Just we just got to make sure angels are running it everywhere. I mean, yes, AI is a good tool. I use it, but it's don't expect to be caged there. Let me see. American Tiara. Let's see if I can find that for you. Yeah, here's this guy. I've launched a campaign to gift the papal tiara to Leo XIV. I believe this will be a great gesture of devotion from the American faithful. Please check our website for more information. Thank you. All right, let's check out the website. Click to Americi Vaticani. Americi Vaticani. Amici. I thought I was trying to play on American. Okay, Amici. Duh. So here's the thing. Partners coming soon. We have none. Okay. So how do you make a tiara? Anybody know how to make a tiara? They have tiara class in shop. I don't know that one. Where do you get a tiara? Facebook Marketplace, Amazon? How do you pull that one off? Anyway, there you go. All right, let's get into why you actually are here. None of you guys care about anything of that. I know. Get your drink ready to go. Oh, I forgot to get T-Pain. General singing in their masses. Just a 3D print of Tiara. That's a good call. Yeah, 3D print. I never would have thought that. All right, so everyone and their brother has talked about the War Powers Act. You don't know how many people have called me names because they don't know what the War Powers Act is, and all they do is listen to what the TV says. Oh, because the TV told me this is what it does, and SCOTUS said this. there are some people out here who are completely off the charts dumb. Well, I would just say ignorant on this, because that's not true. McClanahan's come up with a video on that just the other day. Thomas Woods, thankfully, he put out this on here. Stop thinking that because TV told you to do so. Basically, you have to embrace the centralist argument for any of this stuff. It's just nonsense. Presidential war powers, the constitutional answer. There's a lot of confusion on the right and the fake left alike regarding the president's war powers on the Constitution. Here's an overview of the most common claims on behalf of such powers, along with replies for each of these claims. The president has the power to initiate hostilities without consulting Congress. Ever since the Korean War, Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, which refers to the president as the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of these United States, has been interpreted this way, because that's how we just run things. But what the framers actually meant by this clause was that once war has been declared, it was the president's responsibility as commander-in-chief to direct the war. That is true. Yeah, it wasn't beforehand, it was during it. Alexander Hamilton spoke in such terms when he said that the president, although lacking the power to declare war, would have, quote, the direction of war when authorized or begun. The president acting alone was authorized only to repel such sudden attacks. Hence, the decision to withhold from him only the power to declare war, not to make war, which was thought to be a necessary emergency power in case of foreign attack. So say somebody came in and, I don't know, bombed Chicago. You could, or there was an invading army. All right, let's go. Everyone get together. We're commander. Then we go back and get the clause. That's different from, hey, let's just go out and bomb somebody because it's Tuesday. The framers assigned to Congress what David Gray Adler has called senior status in the partnership with the president for the making and conducting foreign policy. Congress possesses the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations, to raise and support armies, to grant letters of marque and reprisal, to provide for the common defense, and even to declare war. Congress shares with the president the power to make treaties and to appoint ambassadors. As for the president himself, he is assigned only two powers relating to foreign affairs. He is commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and he has the power to receive ambassadors. That's it. Trump thinks he can do any darn thing in the world. No, that's it. Two. Not one, two. Yeah, I know. It doesn't take offense. It's offensive that we're just so bloody stupid on this. We're just so lazy. Maybe it's laziness. Yeah, I bet you did have this discussion where everybody's talking about this, because this is it. It's one of those things that you have constitutionalists during Obama to stick with the Constitution. I can't believe Obama did that. Now these guys are going, hey, bomb more. Same thing. No one's consistent. As I told one guy, he's former military. He was consistent as a fart in a windstorm. It's done. No one's consistent anymore. At the Constitutional Convention, the delegates expressly disclaimed any intention to model the American executive exactly after the British monarchy. James Wilson, for example, remarked that the powers of the British king did not constitute a proper guide in defining the executive powers. Some of these prerogatives were of a legislative nature, among others that of war and peace. And Edmund Randolph likewise contended that the delegates had, quote, no motive to be governed by the British government as our prototype. So again, the king was allowed. This is why I keep saying, congratulations, we have an elected monarch. Because the king was allowed to do exactly what we're doing now. And don't worry, not just Trump. Bush did it. Trump did it. Obama did it. Brandon did it. Oh, did I say Obama did? Bush did it. Pappy Bush. They all did it. At least George H.W., he went at least at Congress. I'm going to do it. You don't get to saying it. I'm just letting you know I'm doing it. Trump isn't even telling anybody. He's just doing it, which is going to come out and bite everyone in the the keister later on, because the fake left is going to take power when they do. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to go, hey, you let Trump do it. We're going to do the exact same thing. Because everyone's going right now, well, Biden did it. Guess what's going to happen when someone else gets it? Oh, well, Trump did it. Yeah, it's going to go back and forth like a bunch of children. To repose Such foreign policy authority in the legislation rather than the executive branch of government was a deliberate and dramatic break with the British model of government with which they were most familiar, as well as with that of other nations, where the executive branch, in effect the monarch, possessed all such rights, including the executive right to declare war. The framers of the Constitution believed that history testified to the executive's penchant of war. As James Madison wrote to Thomas Jefferson, the Constitution supposes what the history of all governments demonstrates, that the executive is the branch of power most interested in war and most prone to it. It is accordingly with studied care vested the question of war in the legislature. Madison even proposed excluding the president from the negotiation of peace treaties on the grounds that he might obstruct a settlement out of a desire to derive power and importance from a state of war. At the Constitutional Convention, Pierce Butler was for vesting the power in the president, who will have all the requisite qualities and will not make war, but when the nation will support it. Butler's motion did not receive so much a second. James Wilson assured the Philadelphia Ratifying Convention, quote, "This system will not hurry us into war as it calculated to guard against it. It will not be in the power of a single man or a single body of men to involve us in such distress. For the important power of declaring war is vested in the legislator at large. This declaration must be made with the concurrence of the House of Representatives. I hope you heard represented, from idiocracy. From this circumstance, we may draw a certain conclusion that nothing but our interest can draw us into war." In Federalist 69, Hamilton explained that the president's authority, quote, "would be normally the same with that of the King of Britain, but in substance much inferior to it. It would amount to nothing more than a supreme command and direction of the military and naval forces as first general and admiral of the Confederacy, while that of the British King extends to declaring war and to the raising and regulating of fleets and armies, all which by the Constitution under consideration would appertain to the legislature." According to John Bessette Moore, the great authority on international law, who, among the credentials, occupy the first professorship of international law at Columbia University, quote, "There can hardly be room for doubt that the framers of the Constitution, when they vested the Congress the power to declare war, never imagined that they were leaving it to the executive to use the military and naval forces of these United States all over the world for the purpose of actually coercing other nations, occupying their territory, and killing their soldiers and citizens, all according to his own notions of the fitness of things, as long as he refrained from calling his actions war or persisted in calling it peace. In conformity to this understanding, Washington's operations of his own authority against the Indians were confined to defensive measures, conscious of, as he was, that the approval of Congress would be necessary for anything further. Quote, "The Constitution vests the power of declaring war with Congress," he said. "Therefore, no offensive expedition of importance can be undertaken until they have deliberated upon the subject and authorized such measure." For some reason, it's popped in my head. You know how they keep saying that the Trump administration most welcoming administration, the history of administrations, all this. Teddy Roosevelt used to be able to, people went up to the White House door and knocked on it, and he would open it up for anybody to come in to talk to him. You think they do that now? Ain't nobody in God's green earth can even walk 50 feet or 50 yards within the White House front door without you might get bombed. Everyone's upset about all these people they got killed in Iran. You try walking on the White House grounds, see what happens to you. You think they're going to send you a cookie or something? DoorDash bringing you a sub? No, they ain't. No. But yeah, Teddy Roosevelt you could walk it. I'm not a Teddy fan. You could walk up to the door with Teddy and knock on the door and go up. So yeah, when they keep saying that this is the most, most whatever out of the administrations ever, no, it's because no one knows about stuff like that. Okay. John Adams makes war on France without consulting Congress. Because here's the examples that people are going to be telling you. You probably already heard some of these. Excuses. Supporters of a broad executive power have sometimes appealed to the quasi-war with France in the closing years of the 18th century as an example of unilateral war making on the part of the president. Francis Wormuth, the authority on war powers and the Constitution describes, that contention is altogether false. John Adams took absolutely no independent action. Congress passed a series of acts that amounted, so the Supreme Court said, to the declaration of imperfect war, and Adams complied with these statutes. An incident that occurred during the Quasi-War throws further light on the true extent of presidential war powers. Congress authorized the president to seize vessels sailing to French ports, but President Adams, acting on his own authority and without the sanction of Congress, instructed American ships to capture vessels sailing either to or from French ports. Captain George Little, acting under the authority of Adams's order, seized a Danish ship sailing from a French port. When Little was sued for damages, the case made its way to the Supreme Court. Chief Justice John Marshall ruled that Captain Little could indeed be sued for damages in the case. In short, writes war powers expert Louis Fisher, in summary, congressional policy announced in a statute necessary prevails over inconsistent presidential orders and military actions. Presidential orders, even those issued as commander-in-chief, are subject to restrictions imposed by Congress. Jefferson acted unilaterally against the Barbary pirates. Now, they use this one a lot because they say, oh, it's the same thing because the Barbary pirates were Muslims. It wasn't even on the same doggone continent. Yeah, if I ran over here near Asia, the Barbary pirates on North Africa, that's it. And besides the Muslim connection, there's nothing that's similar to all this. Another incident frequently cited on behalf of the general presidential power to deploy American forces and commence hostilities involves Jefferson's policy towards the Barbary states, which demanded protection money from governments whose ships sailed the Mediterranean. Congressional naval legislator had provided that, among other things, 6 frigates shall be officered and manned by the President of the United States, manned as the President directs. It was to this instruction and authority that Jefferson appealed when he ordered American ships to the Mediterranean. In the event of a declaration of war on the United States by the Barbary pirates, these ships were to protect our commerce and chastise their insolence by sinking, burning, or destroying their ships and vessels wherever you shall find them. Late 1801, the Pasha of Tripoli did declare war on the U.S. Jefferson sent a small force to the area to protect ships and citizens, American ships and citizens, against potential aggression, but insisted that he was unauthorized by the Constitution without the sanction of Congress to go beyond the line of defense. Congress alone could authorize measures of offense too. Thus, Jefferson told Congress, I communicate to you all material information on this subject that in the exercise of this important function confided by the Constitution to the legislator exclusively, their judgment may form itself on a knowledge and consideration of every circumstance of weight. Jefferson consistently deferred to Congress in his dealings with the Barbary pirates. Recent studies by the Justice Department and statements made during congressional debate, Louis Fisher writes, imply that Jefferson took military measures against the Barbary powers without seeking the approval or authority of Congress. In fact, in at least 10 statutes, Congress explicitly authorized military action by Presidents Jefferson and Madison. Congress passed legislation in 1802 and to authorize the president to equip armed vessels to protect commerce and seamen in the Atlantic, the Mediterranean, and adjoining seas. The statute authorized American ships to seize vessels belonging to the Bay of Tripoli, with the captured property distributed to those who brought the vessels into port. Additionally, additional legislation in 1804 gave explicit support for warlike operations against the Regency of Tripoli or any other of the Barbary powers. Consider also Jefferson's statement to Congress in late 1805 regarding the boundary dispute with Spain over Louisiana and Florida. According to Jefferson, Spain appeared to have an intention to advance on our possessions until they shall be repressed by an opposing force. Considering that Congress alone is constitutionally invested with the power of changing our condition from peace to war, I have thought it my duty to await their authority for using force. But the course to be pursued will require the command of means which it belongs to Congress exclusively to yield or to deny. To them, I communicate every fact material and their information and their documents necessary to enable them to judge for themselves. To their wisdom, then, I look for the course I am to pursue and will pursue with sincere zeal that which they shall approve. Another argument is presidents have sent men into battle hundreds of times without getting congressional authorization. This argument, like so much propaganda, originated with the U.S. government itself. At the time of the Korean War, the number of congressmen have contended that history will show that on more than 100 occasions in the life of this republic, the president, as commander-in-chief, has ordered the fleet or the troops to do certain things that which involve the risk of war without the consent of Congress. In 1966, in defense of Vietnam War, the State Department adopted a similar line, quote, since the Constitution was adopted, there has been at least 125 instances in which the president has ordered the armed forces to take action or maintain positions abroad without obtaining prior congressional authorization, starting with the undeclared war with France. We have already seen that the war in no way leads support to those who favor broad presidential war powers. As for the rest, the great presidential scholar Edward S. Corwin pointed out this lengthy list of alleged precedents consisted mainly of fights with pirates, landings of small naval contingents on barbarous or semi-barbarous coasts, the dispatch of small bodies of troops to chase bandits or cattle rustlers across the Mexican border, and the like. To support their position, therefore, the neoconservatives and their left liberal clones are counting chases of cattle rustlers as examples of presidential war making, and as precedents for sending millions of Americans into war with foreign governments on the other side of the globe to die. The War Powers Resolution of 1973 gives the president the power to commit troops anywhere he likes for 90 days. The War Powers Resolution is incoherent. Section 2C provides that the president's power to initiate military action is limited to 1, a declaration of war, 2, specific statutory authorization, or 3, a national emergency created by attack upon the United States, its territories or possessions, or its armed forces. But at the same time, it authorizes the president to introduce military force for up to 90 days for any reason at all, which is obviously unconstitutional. I've written about this elsewhere. There's the link to it right here. It's the War Powers Resolution fraud. For more on this topic, see Louis Fisher's article on Thomas Eggleton. I'll link that right here. And let's see. So if the UN authorizes military action, the president does not need to consult Congress. He gets into the thing about the remaining claims, somewhat more technical in nature, have been put forth and is most memorably by John Yoo, former deputy assistant under Attorney General George W. Bush. These are paraphrases of Yoo's positions. They are replied to in much more detail in Who Killed the Constitution by Kevin Gutzman and Thomas Woods. It's a great one, but it's a great book, by the way, if you haven't read it. Yeah, so it goes on for a little bit longer. Did I lose anybody on that? This for hello. Here's this from Lou Rockwell's website, The War Powers Resolution Fraud by Dr. Woods, 2006. So most of this you already read. The War Powers Resolution is no more necessary than the Balanced Budget Amendment, and has proven at least as problematic. If you want a balanced budget, then submit one. And all you want to do is restrain the president's power abroad, then do so. Use the power of the purse to cut off funding for foreign policy adventurism. Mere resolutions are no match for a determined executive who can simply define war, consultation, and other critical terms to suit his agenda, like they're doing right now. The War Powers Resolution, in short, is just one of a long line of political gimmicks designed to give the impression that things have changed, when in fact business has never been more usual. Yeah, repeal of the World Powers Resolution would eliminate the concession of 1973 that presidents may use military force anywhere in the world for whatever reason for up to 90 days, if not longer. There is no constitutional warrant for that proposition. Repeal would remove that source of presidential power and put into a fruitless legislation debate over whether presidential consultation has been sufficient, whether presidential reports were timely and complete, or whether the president should have reported under Section 4A1, 4A2, or some other provision. Repeal would eliminate the current futile dash to federal court, hoping for some kind of judicial answer. And by the way, here it is today. U.S. Senate fails to pass procedural vote on the Iran War Powers Resolution, and attempt to force Trump to end Iran strikes without Congress. Tally 48 to 52. And I said, time for a national divorce. That's how you get ready to national divorce from free yourself from independence from DC. And guess what? This war is over. Max Blumenthal, you probably seen this in a sermon promoting Operation Epic Fury. James Corbett said the Epstein Fury. That was classic. Christian Zionist Trump ally Pastor John Hagee predicts Russia, Turkey, what's left of Iran, and groups of Islamics will invade Israel and be destroyed by God through a combined attack of earthquakes, hailstones, and friendly fire. Yeah, here's this Gen X girl talking about the Eighth Front War merged with Zionist war with Iran. U.S. commanders across more than 30 military bases have told troops the Iran war is part of God's plan and linked to Armageddon. Trump's White House faith leader Paula White to Israel's ambassador, not America's Huckabee, to 30 military bases our government is compromised with lunatics trying to invoke end times. Israel is using these nut jobs to further the Greater Israel Project across the Middle East at U.S. taxpayer cost and American lives. Yeah, this was the U.S. commanders across. Here's more of it. Yeah. All part of God's divine plan. President Trump has been anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to earth. Probably the most connected. And if you don't know much about this whole Messiah prophecy, this is part of Bibi Netanyahu right here. I'll play a little bit of it. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a long show. You may not have heard about this, but here, this helps out.
The Bible says that there is a time for peace and a time for war. לעולם לא נשכח את מעשה הזוועה שעשו לנו אויבינו. אנחנו הולמים באויבינו בעוצמה חסרת תקדים. אני מדגיש, זאת רק ההתחלה.
40 years ago, when Netanyahu was Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, he met Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the leader of the Chabad Lubavitch movement, known simply as the Rebbe.
He said, you're going to this house of darkness, the UN, which was very, very unfriendly to Israel at the time. They called it the house of darkness. They said even in the greatest darkness, if you light a candle, it spreads a great light that can be seen from afar.
The Rebbe reportedly believed Netanyahu had a mission from God to prepare Israel for the coming of the Messiah, or in Hebrew, the Moshiach. Over the next decade, the two men developed a close relationship. Soon after entering Israel's parliament for the first time, Netanyahu paid his respects to his mentor.
בתחילת מעשה לאדם בתחילת מעשה. ואני מתכוון לחזור אליך. עתקים סדרי סעדיקים מאיר בתשע עשר אנשים. לבד מביא תסרשי, כאילו שהקודש ברוך הוא לצד הזה.
Back then, Netanyahu was probably the only ally that he could work with in Israeli politics. He obviously demands from Netanyahu to take some steps to hasten the coming of Messiah, which is to make Israel a more religious place and to take certain concrete steps in this regard. And Netanyahu says, I'm definitely doing that.
אז הייתה תמונה שהוא עם הידיעתו.
ועושים.
הכנראה שהיא מספיק, כאילו שהיום כבר כמה שוד בגיר ועדיין ריבו.
The Rebbe never visited Israel, not once, and yet from his home in Brooklyn, he was able to influence Israeli politics.
הבטיחו לי בוודאי כמה הבטחה שמכל השיחות תהיה מכל עניינים של ויתור על שטחים.
His influence was recognized by American politicians too. US presidents paid homage to him, establishing and proclaiming a National Education and Sharing Day in honor of his birthday.
And please give my warmest regards to the Rebbe on this his 86th birthday.
Menachem Mendel Schneerson was born in 1902 in the Black Sea port of Nikolaev, which was part of the Russian Empire but now part of Ukraine. He and his wife lived in Berlin and Paris before fleeing the Nazis in 1941, seeking refuge in New York, where they put down roots.
The Vatican movement is in Brooklyn, in a neighborhood called Crown Heights. So it is an American movement in terms of its center, but it is also a global movement. One of the biggest purposes of Chabad is to bring those quote-unquote lost Jews back into Judaism. So Chabad has its own rabbis and emissaries appointed all around the world. It is a global movement.
Headquartered in Brooklyn, the Chabad movement has a presence in every state in America and in over 100 countries around the world, with a particularly high focus in Europe and in Israel. It has hundreds of thousands of followers and runs synagogues, schools, drug rehabilitation centers, and care homes.
Breaking news out of Israel this morning, where Hamas has launched a surprise attack.
A massive surprise attack.
Hundreds of Hamas fighters poured across, blaming him for the worst security failure in Israel's history. Netanyahu is once again relying on religious language to rally the country.
The Bible says that there is a time for peace and a time for war.
Here's a little bit on the Greater Israel
To
Project.
the brave people of Iran, and I have a message for them.
But why is Israeli democracy suddenly being violently exported to Iran without provocation? Because the real goal here is neither peace nor democracy. It's based on Eretz Yisrael, or Greater Israel, a Zionist fantasy of expanding Israel's 1967 borders way beyond what international law recognizes and into the sovereign territory of Israel's neighbors. An ethno-nationalist dream of a historic Jewish homeland stretching from the Nile to the Euphrates, regardless of who lives there today. It's not just a fringe idea, it has quietly shaped Israeli right-wing policy for decades and serves as the blueprint for occupation, invasion, and annexation. And Netanyahu seems to have emerged as the face behind this plan, with his actions aligning perfectly and destructively with this vision of territorial expansionism.
The Greater Israel plan goes back to Theodor Herzl, to the very beginning of the creation of the Zionist movement. The idea that they would have Eretz Israel, this is the land of Israel. And the land of Israel, according to their calculations from the Bible and from their conception of what it was, stretched not just to the historic territory of Mandate Palestine and to what's now called Jordan, also to Lebanon and Syria and most of Iraq and part of Egypt. It even stretched up to part of Turkey.
And the way it's used today is to provide a religious justification for Zionism, for colonialism, for, if you like, Western imperialism in the Middle East. And it's an exclusive claim.
Cue the message of solidarity right before the missiles. Fast forward to June 2025, when Israel unilaterally attacked Iran, not because of any provocation or immediate threat, but because Iran stands in the way of total Israeli dominance in and of the region.
And let's remember also, of course, they've been occupying Syria, the Golan, since 1967. And in the dissolution of the government of Bashar al-Assad, they were able to push right into Syria up to within 20 kilometers of Damascus. And so they have a physical occupation in the south of Syria and security control over a greater swathe of Syria. And just in the last few days, they've sent tanks further into Syria so they can place their air defences, whatever's left of them, nearer to Iran. So, of course, that's what they've always wanted to do.
They excuse Iran's nuclear ambitions as Netanyahu has been rattling on about like a broken record for 30 years.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous
Zionism. So anyway, I'll watch that later. I can literally watch all those in one sitting while doing 48 different things. All right, here we go. All right. Special units may be operating Iran, carrying out missions that could ignite the imagination. Air Force chief says in letter to regular reserve personnel that fighters from Air Force special units are currently carrying out extraordinary missions that could ignite the imagination, and 12-day war ground commando forces operated covertly in Iran. Here's Bibi. There's Tucker on the other day. Get Bibi under control. Carlson on U.S.-Iran war. He said in one of the lines, he says, "Not anti-Semitism. U.S. must tell Israel it's not in charge." No president has done that since JFK. And you know what happened to him after he said no? All right, here's the If you haven't seen this, you have to watch it to see it, to believe it.
Yesterday, you told us that Israel was going to strike Iran, and that's why we needed to get involved. Today, the president said that Iran was going to get.
Yeah, your statement is false. So that's not what I was asked very specifically. Were you there yesterday?
Yes, I asked the question.
And so the president made a wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that would precipitate an attack against American forces, and we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act.
Yes.
That's such a great line. Well, she was good on, yes, I asked the question. Trump has offered new justification for the war today, claiming the U.S. had to strike Iran because if we waited any longer, if we didn't hit within 2 weeks, they would have had nuclear weapons. Wait, again, it goes back to, didn't you guys say you obliterated it? Now they're going to have it in 2 weeks. There's Levitt was saying the president had a feeling again based on fact that Iran was going to strike the UN. So he went on feeling. Someone had a great line. Now imagine a woman president did this and went on a feeling. Everyone would be losing it right now. Oh wait, you had a feeling? It's kind of like the Mormons when they say, "Hey, if you read the Book of Mormon, you get a feeling in your gut." Yeah, you can. I've responded once to them. So yeah, sometimes I read Sports Illustrated, I get a feeling like that too. Yeah, does that mean that Holy Spirit's moved me? Here's this reporter. You concede this is a war, Mullen. We haven't declared war. They've declared war on us. Reporter. The president called it a war, and Secretary Hegseth called it a war. Reporter. When you walked up to just now, you called it a war. Mullen. Okay, that was a misspoke. Here's an Iranian drone has struck a CIA station in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. This is kind of funny. I'll go ahead and say, show this. This was a great montage that CNN put together.
And we may have casualties. That often happens in war.
I don't know if this is technically a war.
We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it.
This isn't a war.
We haven't declared war.
The Secretary of Defense, who calls himself the Secretary of War, said today this is a war.
We set the terms of this war from start to finish.
Nobody should classify this as war. It is combat operations.
War is hell and always will be.
Strategic strikes are not war.
I guess the Congress people that you saw in that clip are all convinced that it's not a war, because that would mean that they would have had to have done their job beforehand to authorize this. But it does seem like we're in a war.
And we may have casualties. That often happens in war.
I don't know. I don't know if this is a war or not. Here's Admiral Cooper. We are sinking the entire Iranian Navy. For decades, Iran harassed international shipping. And RT says, when? These guys just make stuff up. Again, propaganda for everyone. Now, both sides do it. Press Secretary Levitt, if you don't align with the values of the United States or Israel, and you don't respect our country, our culture, our laws, and our people, you are not welcome here. Oh, kiss my grits. I don't care for the values of Israel, or what culture in the United States, our law, our people. Again, this is one trying some kind of unipart one thing. We're one people with just no other thing going on. Levitt again. Oh. Headsec. Oh, this, you have to listen to this one. It's like almost like, you don't believe he said that? Yep, he said it.
Will include maximum authorities. No stupid rules of engagement, no nation-building quagmire.
No stupid rules of engagement? It's like no stupid rules.
No democracy-building exercise, no politically correct wars. We fight to win, and we don't waste time.
It's just that all is it's the anti-woke stuff. They're doing it because people are going, well, he's saying it. Brandon didn't do that. The other guy, yeah, but so it's okay now because we got somebody talking smack. Here's Colonel McGregor.
They're providing satellite intelligence, which accounts for some of the tremendous successes, particularly in Israel and on our U.S. bases. All of our bases have been destroyed. Our harbor installations are destroyed. We're actually having to fall back on India and Indian ports, which are less than ideal. That's what the Navy says. And I think Iran, much to our disappointment, is faring very, very well. The question is, how long can we keep this up? I think logistics is the vulnerable part of this entire operation. Remember, you got to go back and reload. You've got to fly things in. You've got to sail in. Iran is a continental power, 93 million people, the size of Western Europe. Both China and Russia are continental powers. They don't have supply chain problems. Their manufacturing capabilities are intact. Right now, the missile cities that underlie all of Iran's provinces are untouched. And they have an
Operation Epstein Fury. It's trending. Oh, that's fantastic. It's the grave sites. That's what's going on? Chaos in Israel. That's funny that the Operation Epstein Fury is trending. That is just fantastic. I saw the pumpkin comment. On another note, Steve, have you grown a pumpkin from your garden yet? Okay. Now, I tried last year late. So what happened, I did put something down and I did put a seed down too late. It did sprout and I just had it in a bucket because, again, I'm renting. So I haven't thought about I have so many plans I could do in the backyard. Yeah, front too, but just because we're renting. And then, so my neighbor, so my guy on my right, the guy this way, he lives over there, another neighbor over here. Everyone has gardens pretty much, mostly tomatoes. So he does like 40 different varieties of tomatoes. So him and I are talking, and because I pretty much do everything else besides tomatoes because he's doing it. And he was telling me that the guy that lived there before us did put pumpkins down on the hill. And so how our backyard goes, it literally you go out and it just pretty much goes down. So I got all my pots up here, and then it comes down. I got a level down there. So I got some tree pots with some trees down at the bottom that just they need to be there for like years for the fruit. So I'm just like, I'll just get them out of the way, keep the ones that will fruit now up top. And so he was telling me that the guy last time he was here, he put actually seeds down, let pumpkins fall. I'm going, all right, screw it. This year I'm going to put the pumpkins in the ground. So I will this year. See how fun it is. We'll have some pumpkins this year in the ground. Well, unless we have to move. Our lease is up in October, so we'll see if the rent goes up or what. Can't even afford anything anymore. But anyways, I will definitely do it this year. It's going in the ground. I already planted a mulberry in the ground, and it will stay here because I just want to see how fast that thing will grow. And so I'll have one whenever we get another place. I'll make sure I get a mulberry tree for that one. I'll have a black mulberry tree, a white mulberry tree, maybe a red. If you don't have a mulberry tree, get that. Put that in the ground now. I planted today. Actually, today I was first day in the garden. I planted some potatoes. I fixed up the strawberries, watered everything because of the strawberries. I'm going to plant lovage tomorrow. I got the seeds right here. Where's the other stuff? I got a lot of other seeds right here I'm going to put out tomorrow. And in my seed tray, I got a seed tray right over there. I figured mulberry won't produce for a few years, but just in case. Have some melons in there. Because I have some, there was a melon that we got last year that my wife actually liked. I love all melons, but she doesn't like cantaloupe, and I love cantaloupe. But she likes honeydew. So there was a cantaloupe that tastes like a honeydew. So I kept the seeds. They've been sitting here all year. I'd even put them in the fridge. Just let them sit here, and then I stuck the seeds in a seed thing, and they're already that big right now. I put them in a week ago. They shot up real quick. So I got in the seed tray 4 different melons. I'm going to put watermelon in the ground this year, and gooseberry. I have some gooseberries in the tray. I put some seed out front too. I want to see if that grows out in the front. But I got some gooseberries back here growing, and I got some tobacco growing as well. What else? And a moringa. I put 2 moringa seeds in because I want to get my moringa tree back up. So yeah, pumpkins will do that. I just got to wait. Can you grow potatoes indoors? If you have a sunroom, yeah. If you have a sunroom, yeah, you can do it. There's ways to do it. Look online, do a YouTube search for growing potatoes indoors. You could do that. It's a little trickier, but you can do a few things. If you put it by the window, the sun's coming in, you can do it. You just won't be able to do a lot. Maybe if you do some air potatoes, that'd be easier. They do make some. They're about yay big. They look like a hash brown type deal things. But yeah, you can grow them in the house. It's just not. It does. You have to make sure you get the sun, though. That's the main thing. And you can grow them depending on what. There's a YouTube channel that grows. These guys are Japanese or Chinese, and they've grown potatoes in those styrofoam buckets you see at the grocery stores. They'll grow it in that stuff. They do some really nutty stuff in those things. They grow. I've seen them grow fruit in food in the Pepsi bottles, plastic bags from the grocery store, all kinds of stuff. They're very creative. They don't say a word in it, so I don't know how they pull this stuff off, but I've seen them do it. It depends on your apartment. If it's the sun is the key thing for you. If you have a close grow lights can be expensive. Grow lights can work, but the sun, it's free. If you have a sun facing a south facing sun room light, you can pull it off. Truthfully, think of something that will grow more. For you, Amy, I would say worry about herbs. Make sure you grow the stuff that can grow repeatedly in the sun, because potatoes, you only get that one chance of it. It's done that. Maybe if you want to try to do, because potatoes they're so versatile. They're pain in the neck sometimes, but they're very versatile. Get the herbs because it's easier for an apartment to do that. Less room space and things like that. So tons of sunshine. You give it a shot. What are you not? It's just going to take a while for it. Yeah, I did see that before. In the end, nothing will grow. Hence why they're spraying the skies, because more time they spray the skies, nothing will grow. My wife just texted me up saying flock cameras made the local news today. Let me see if I can find that. Oh, flock Gastonia. I see you. And that was last year. Gastonia Police Department launches real-time Crown Center. Turns out flat cameras in the city already helped to catch bathtub thieves. There's a bit there. Look, I thought I recognized that neighborhood for a second. Man, I hate those cameras. Let's see. Sorry, just interested to see what it is. Maybe I'll just wait till I look later. Oh, Dunwoody. Okay, that's Atlanta. Dunwoody signal pauses flock agreement. Good on Dunwoody. Yeah, let's see. Now, what would she be watching? Local news, Channel 9, WC and C. WCNC chart. That should be what we have. Yeah, the pentagram. Spring. Oh yeah, you lose an hour of sleep this weekend. Yeah, you can't wait. I need to see if I can Luke on. That'd be cool. Election results. How many people didn't care about the elections yesterday? Carla lost. U.S. estimates launched more than 500 ballistic missiles and 2,000 drones. That's a lot. He was he was already the sheriff there. I'll have to ask how that made the news. Huh. Justin Timberlake sues to block police video. Oh, JT. I ain't heard from JT in quite some time. Used to train a lady named had the initials of JT, and I would scream that out. JT. All right. Can't find it. Let's go. Oh yeah, here's the feeling. I jokingly said the president had gas. Here's Tom Connon. Iran has been an imminent threat to the United States for 47 years. Brad says that's not what the word imminent means. Let's see. Yeah. They were spraying the sky today too here. If there was treasure, if X marked the spot in the sky where treasure is, I saw 4 different treasure chests. Here's Ron Paul. Sometimes the truth accidentally slips up. Rubio spills the beans on why the U.S. attacked Iran. Trump and war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu deserve the Nobel Peace Prize, says Consul General of Israel in New York. Yeah, just throw your hands up. Good night, everybody. Yes, yes, the Nobel Peace Prize, which is always given to the person who kills the most people. You know, we're an hour and 15 minutes, and I haven't got to the halfway point. Here's Carolyn Levitt saying, no, Marco Rubio didn't claim that Israel dragged Trump into war with Iran. And most people were responding back to her saying, yes, he said the words. Yeah, I already had that. Why is that a double? I must have forgotten I put that up there. Oh, yeah, and that's the one that she asked the question. This is, you occasionally get a moment that symbolizes everything wrong with this country. In this case, it is a U.S. Marine veteran screaming out that no one wants to fight for Israel, and a U.S. senator breaks his arm, a perfect encapsulation of U.S. foreign policy. Don't watch it because you see his arm does snap. Levitt denies that Trump considering arming Kurdish forces in hopes of inspiring popular uprising in Iran. He did speak to Kurdish leaders with respect to the base we have in northern Iraq, she said, but alarming allegations false and should not be written. And here's Levitt asked, the U.S. murdered 175 in a strike on Iran girls' school. Not that we know of. The War Department investigating this measure. U.S. does not target civilians, unlike rogue Iranian regimes and, Israel with Gaza. But, they keep saying, hey, they're precision strikes. They use AI, but somehow that was maybe throw your hands up. Anyway, when I first heard this, I started thinking, that reminds me of the Union League that during Reconstruction. The Union League was the original KKK that D.C. put together is to get a bunch of armed forces to pretty much rise up against the civilians in the southern states. Here is Nick Sorter, Nick cheerleading brown-nosed Sorter posting breaking. He always posts a breaking with the light. Breaking. Everything's breaking to him. Thousands of Iraqi Kurds have just launched the ground invasion of Iran, a U.S. official tells Fox News. This comes just a day after reports of CIA was arming the Kurds for this type of operation. This is big. There's Vanessa Beeley. Trump opened arming Kurd separatist groups to serve as boots on the ground in Iran. A reminder of my short report on the ground threats Iran might face. Top defense officials push back on concerns about U.S. munitions shortage. They're saying, they're saying there's not a lot now. Cooper says he has had more than 2,000 targets so far, is forcing U.S. military commanders to make difficult calculations on how quickly their Iranian adversaries will burn through their own munitions, even as Trump says the war may last 4 to 5 weeks. Top Pentagram leaders dedicated considerable time at a news briefing Wednesday addressing worries that the military is reaching too deeply in its inventory at the cost of readiness. Iranian warship torpedoed by submarine and first U.S. incident of its kind since World War II. And we should be celebrating this. A lot of people died on it, but I saw some people say it's cool. No, it's not cool. None of it's cool. Here's Representative Jason Crow. Trump is lying. I served on the Intel and Armed Forces Services Committee. There is no intelligence that Iran posed an imminent threat to the U.S. or the American people. And really, anybody with 2 working brain cells knows that. Speaking of munitions, death vaults. Iran shows off underground missile city of suicide drones and rockets wreaking havoc across Middle East and in chilling video. So I don't think there's a video here. Is there a video? No. Here's Rubio. Let me explain to you guys in simple English, okay? Okay. Drugs are bad, okay? Iran is run by lunatics, religious fanatic lunatics, not like anybody in DC, nothing like that. They have the ambition to have nuclear weapons, which they actually, the Ayatollah didn't want nukes. Now they probably will want nukes after everything's gone down. But they have the right to have a nuclear program. They also have a right to a navy. They also have a right to exist, but apparently not. They intend to develop those nuclear weapons behind a program of missiles and drones and terrorism. That the world would not be able to touch them for fear of those things. And this is the weakest they've ever been. Now's the time to go after them. The president made the decision to go after them, take away their missiles, take away their navy, take away their drones, take away their ability to make those things so that they can never have a nuclear weapon. What does that have to do with everything else? That's why the president made this decision. It was the right decision, and the world will be a safer place when these radical clerics no longer have access to these weapons that they've never used on anybody. If they don't even have. You can see how they're using them now in defense. Imagine how they would use them a year from now if they had more of these. Can't wait for them to get ticked off at us. Geopolitics and empire. Let me explain to you Guy, this. Let me explain to you, Guy, this in simple English, okay? Every country on planet Earth right now is run by lunatics. That is the phrase that pays. Here's Ashman Gillen saying the U.S. and Israel has been bombing drawings of F-14s this entire time. The Iranians put their jets underground before the war began. Trump thought he destroyed the entire Iranian Air Force. This is literally drawing. Here's Richard talking about the economists. The Gulf states use more interceptor missiles daily or every other day than the United States can produce annually. Richard, up to now, the Iranians have been deliberately firing their older missiles and drones, using them as expendable bait to drain U.S. and Israeli air defenses. That strategy clearly worked. Now they're escalating, rolling out their more advanced ballistic missiles and drones. Because of that strategy, Israel is now taking more and more direct hits from Iranian ballistic strikes, and that is just the beginning. This guy had put a video out yesterday. It's already almost 2 million views on YouTube.
It can go as fast. Actually, those nations that are poor actually have more energy. They're more open and they're more cohesive. All right, so let me give you an example. This is what we call the Shahad drones. Shahad drones. Each of these drones costs $50,000 at most. Okay, at most. It can go as cheap as $35,000 US. But one of them is $50,000. As you can see, you can fit a lot of these drones to a truck that can go anywhere in Iran, and it can hide anywhere. All right. So the thing to understand is, first of all, these drones are cheap. They're easy to make. They make about 500 a day. Okay, and estimates are about there's 80,000 right now that the Iranians have. So they can go on for a long, long time. Okay, and one of these drones again can knock out a desalination plant. It can knock out an oil field. It can knock out a hotel. It can do a lot of damage. Okay, and it's easily transportable. You can hide it anywhere. You can use it from anywhere, okay? And that's what the Iranians are using as an offensive weapon. And how do the Americans defend against this? They use something called a THAAD, right? Right, guys. This is what they use. THAAD. THAAD stands for Thermal High Altitude Air Defense. And they also have like Patriot systems. There's a lot, okay? The thing that you need to know about the system is it's really expensive. This missile, guys, costs $1 million.
Somebody got paid.
$1 million. So there's this $50,000 drone coming your way, and you throw a $1 million missile at it, okay? And often these missiles miss, so you have to throw 2 or 3 missiles at it, okay? So you're spending $2 to $3 million on each $50,000 that the Iranians spend. That's kind of silly. Second thing you'll notice is that this thing is really big and really slow. And therefore, you can't really move it around. Therefore, it's pretty easy for the Iranians to spot where this is and attack it. And then when these things blow up, that's a lot of money, guys. Okay? Then you're like, what? But this makes no sense. You know the Iranians have drones. They've had drones for like 10 years. You've also seen drones used in the Russia-Ukraine war to devastating effect. Why don't the Americans know this? How?
Anyway, so he has a YouTube show that goes on a little bit for about an hour. So if you guys want to watch it, go check it out. I had a friend of mine actually send me the original. The U.S. fight with Iran is putting new stress on Patriot missile stockpiles already under heavy strain. Axios, here are all the countries now involved in the Iran conflict. At least 6 U.S. What was this thing at? Qatar, Kuwait, UAE, Bahrain, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Iraq, Cyprus, United Kingdom, France, and Germany. Kind of like a mini World War III in a sense. Drop site, at least 1,097 civilians have been killed in U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran since February 28th, including 181 children under 10. In the past 24 hours, the group recorded 104 attacks across 19 provinces, with strikes hitting military bases, medical centers, and residential areas. This happened earlier today. There's an apocalyptic scene in Tehran, nonstop U.S.-Israeli airstrikes. Iraq plunged in a nationwide blackout as U.S. tells citizens to leave immediately. Well, they know they're going to do something big's going down. CNN's Aaron Bernard, Bennett, reporting from Tel Aviv, I do see interceptors going up from where I stand. We're not showing you that because we're not going to show you. The Israeli government does not allow us or want us to show you where that may be coming from. Thank you, Israel, for running the media. There's Israel just arrested a CNN journalist mid-report live there. That was yesterday. Here's the general saying, breaking Israel. He needs to use the light. Israeli officials allegedly hired social media influencers for $7,000 per post, failed to pay them. Now they're facing lawsuits totaling billions of dollars over unpaid invoices. Ha. Womp womp. The worst sin is that you've destroyed and betrayed yourself for nothing. Israel threatens Ayatollah Khamenei's successor will be unequivocally targeted for elimination as his son emerges as the front runner to replace him. Here's the Atlantic, the coming invasion of Iran. The U.S. and Israel are arming Kurdish groups to stage an incursion. What could go wrong? Don't worry, we'll have boots on the ground too. The Pentagram will send them in. Here's Levitt says American boots on the ground in Iran are on the table. The whole part of the whole thing. Don't vote for the other guy because that guy will put you in World War III. Vote for us. We'll never put boots on the ground anywhere. Tensions flare as lawmakers question Iran's war costs, risk, and strategy. Pete Hegseth says war with Iran could last up to 8 weeks. Didn't they say 4 last week? It went from, that's why I put the thing, went from 2 to 4 weeks to 8 weeks to, might could be 8 years. Remember the whole Bush photo of him saying with mission accomplished? That the war lasted for a couple of, 10 years past that, 20 years past that? It lasted a very long time. Uncontested airspace over the country in under a week and unleashed death and destruction from the sky all day long. You can say 4 weeks, but it could be 6, it could be 8, it could be 9 years. Ultimately, we set the pace and the tempo. Who knows? Here's the fuel prices chart. North Carolina, we're up $3. I know you need the sticker that shows the Trump I did that thing. Just how Brandon did it. You need a Trump version. Over 10 oil tankers have been hit after ignoring Iran's warning that the Strait of Hormuz is now a war zone. And here is the link. If you don't like all this stuff that we're showing right now, it's in the show notes. Go click on it, check it out. And so if you want like the map of the Strait of Hormuz, I don't know why you'd want it, but here is the live update on the Strait. You can see, see the red, they're not moving. There's the boats just sitting right there. Some are going through. They I have a link that says that they said the Chinese can come through. It's just nuts. It's just a zoom out. Look at all those ships. And still, it looks like a ton on there. But then if you're just waiting in the water, it's not a lot right there. Anyway, it's a cool little map. Breaking: Iran, this is from China now, has announced they will allow only China to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. No to war. Spain Prime Minister hits back at Trump threat to cut trade over airbase dispute. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez described the ongoing U.S.-Israeli strikes against Iran as a disaster. That's a good way. That's charitable. His comments came shortly after U.S. President, once a future king, U.S. President DJT, threatening to cut off all trade with Spain for its refusal to allow military bases to be used in airstrikes. I would have told him to go pound sand if I was the prime minister. All right, trade, that's fine. Forget you then. We'll do anything else. Massive Israeli strike on, Lebanon, city and Tiara. Oh, I forgot about going to anti-war. Antiwar.com. U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran killed over 1,000 civilians. Senate fails to halt Trump's war power. Trump to request extra Trump to request extra $50 billion for Iran war. Pentagram tells Congress it can't intercept all Iranian shaded drones. U.S. lost $2 billion worth of military equipment in 4 days of Iran war. Let's say that again. U.S. lost $2 billion worth of military equipment in 4 days of the Iran war. Israel bombs Christian majority area Beirut, because that's how Israel rolls. Syria masses troops along the border, Lebanon border. Palestinian killed by Israeli gunfire in Khan. Who's whoever's shooting the Gazans? Like that guy just I'm not allowed to go play with go play in the big leagues. I guess I'm going to shoot everyone else. U.S. military joins drug war in Ecuador. Russia says Ukraine sank tanker in the Mediterranean. $2 billion worth of military equipment in 4 days. 4 days. 4 days. U.S. launches military operations in Ecuador because we've got nothing else better to do. The U.S. military operation in Ecuador target what the U.S. called designated terrorist organizations because they can make anybody a terrorist. Mark is a terrorist if they want to say it. Mark, hey, you're a terrorist. Ecuador in the country. Bring back Garcia Moreno for Ecuador. ICE has spun a massive surveillance web. We talked to people caught in it. On an evening in late January, Emily was driving through her Minneapolis neighborhood, doing something that had been part of her routine in recent weeks, patrolling for ICE. ICE, baby. Here's Politico. The U.S. just launched military operations in Ecuador. What is this really about? The North American technate. There's Ecuador right there. On March 3rd, Ecuadorian and U.S. military forces launched operations against designated terrorist organizations in Ecuador. The operations are a powerful example of the commitment of partners in Latin America and the Caribbean to combat the scourge of narco-terrorism. Blah, 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 blah. Yep, the North American technique is growing. Here's the 4 safest U.S. states to live during nuclear war revealed in a chilling map. If you care about any of that, where is it at? Nuke map. Just give me the list. Where is it? Yeah, New York would be ground zero for our primary target. Yeah. Usually it's somewhere out west. Usually it's all the western areas. It doesn't give me a list. You just have to read what the map says. Massive grid failure leaves 2/3 of Cuba without power. Can't watch the World Baseball Championship. Trump just signed a directive to accelerate 6G deployment to operate implantable technologies, which will include AI brain chips. Good night, everybody. Well, it literally is good night, everybody. But really, good night, everybody. Known as the Biological Interface Systems to Cortex, BISC. I will not take... Read that again. Trump just winning the 6G race, biological interface systems of cortex. This is the 4IR, the fourth industrial revolution. Great reset, whatever you want to go. Yeah, no, I missed that. My eyes are going dumb right now. Anyway, yeah, here's the 4IR. Thanks, Trump. The Great Reset. All that stuff that we were talking about with Davos and all that. Yeah, there's the best behaviors. Ellison right there. I've been playing this for how many years now? Yeah. Trump is bringing in the brain chips. Elon's all for it, and Trump is pushing it in. I'd like to see somebody, try to, no. Hey, no cheerleaders defending that one. This day in history, 1933, FDR, inauguration, FDR. Yeah. And we got the war. 2009, playwright and screenwriter Horton Foote died in Connecticut. 1982, Bertha Wilson became the first woman appointed to the Supreme Court of Canada. 1933, Frances Perkins was sworn in as U.S. Secretary of Labor. 1888, Newt Rockne, who, while at the University of Notre Dame, became intercollegiate football's first true celebrity coach, was born in Voss, Norway. 1837, Chicago was incorporated as a city. 1804, Irish convicts rose up in Castle Hill Rising, Australia's first rebellion. 1789, the U.S. Constitution went into effect as the governing law of the United States. The date has been established by Congress. It served to be many years as the day U.S. presidents were inaugurated. Today, it's pretty much just a document that they use as toilet paper. 1681, William Penn secured the colonial province of Pennsylvania in North America as a refuge for the New World for Quakers. 1678, composer and violinist Antonio Vivaldi was born in Venice. 1461, King Henry VI of England was deposed by Yorkists and replaced by Edward IV. Everyone, thank you for hanging in there. It's an hour and 40 minutes later. I'm done. Anyway, have a great rest of the night. Check out SensusFidelium.tv for the app. Go to Sensus Fidelium Press. Look up the new book I got out. Let me just go ahead and pull that up. I keep forgetting about that. Sensus Fidelium Press. Guys have told me that it's most of the stuff I've said before, except more in depth on things like how it gets into how many nations became centralized, all that. The Idol of Nations, only about 140 pages, give or take one or two. A couple guys said how apt it was, how perfect the timing it was. I don't know. Good read, get you thinking, get you some solutions, gets to the problems about area. It talks about the 48ers. I bring up the Holy Face and how the Holy Face happened right after the 48ers, the Revolution of 48. Leo Pope Pius IX makes an appearance, 11th, all that. You get into the Quas Primas, we get into everything from decentralization all the way up to the promise centralization, all that jazz in between. Anyways, God bless you. Have a great rest of the night. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And we will see you. I'll definitely see you on Friday for this. But I'll see you tomorrow for the Reckoning with Rick and whoever else wants to join. Anyway, God bless. Have a great rest of the night. Take care.